Hello and welcome in, everybody. We got One Piece chapter 1150, the post-game show. So, in case you guys do not know how this works, we are going to be going through the spoiler video comment section just to take a gander at what people are talking about. What are the big theories? What are the main takeaways from witnessing Imu's glory? I gotta see it, I gotta know. And with that being said, it's time to go on with the show. So, top comment right here, it says, Imu is so busted, they pulled out a grimoire from Black Clover, turned people into demons like Muzan, and started rumbling like Eren. Yeah, I mean, this is a final villain through and through, all right? Every ability in the book you could give to a bad guy, Imu pretty much has it. And the craziest part, the one thing we have to keep in mind, I keep on saying this, but this isn't even Imu. This is Gunko Imu, right? This is a mixture. This is a hybrid. This is him using a vessel remotely. Imu is up in the Holy Land. This is Imu picking up a controller and playing from across the world. Like, just imagine Imu's powers when he's using his own body. Or when he's in a LAN party, even. And you know what? In a weird way, I'm actually really happy for Oda. Because when you think about it, Oda's been waiting for a long time to debut what Imu could do, right? The demon transformations, the wing, the tail, the pitchfork, everything we see here, Oda's been waiting for all these years. I mean, just think about like the ending of One Piece, right? Oda had the ending of One Piece ready since its inception. So it's all coming to fruition. This really just shows that we are in that final saga. Oda is not holding back anymore. Next comment says, man, let's just take a moment to appreciate our boy Sai. Never misses a beat and always does a standout job. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you for the kind words. This one says, Oda sneakily creating giant opponents for Loki and thought we wouldn't notice. Yeah, that is how I feel too. I do think that Dory and Brogy and even the evil giants that got turned this chapter, I do think they're going to be solid matchups for Loki, Haruden, Ripley, and the new giant warrior pirates. And even Jarl, right? Because Jarl wants to smoke too. I think all the giants that we have never seen really fight, they're finally gonna fight, man. And I'm looking forward to it. The main problem though is that Loki is like the only character out of the bunch right now that is tall enough to ride that ride. Because Dory, Brogy, and all those boys that got turned into demons, they're literally 10 times the size of a regular giant. And Loki is the only one who is about that height. So I wonder what's going to happen. Will the rest of the giants besides Loki just be fighting that uphill battle? I'm not too sure. I do think it would be really cool if maybe they also got their own power up. Like Imu is creating demons out of these giants. What if Luffy's able to create gods out of the giants? Like maybe there's like a white inverse version where Luffy does the same magic circle, but instead of turning them evil, he turns them into sun god disciples. That'd be kind of sick, right? That'd be a great way to level up some of our boys. But yes, that is just a theory for now. Until then, it looks like Loki will be the main one fighting. Imu. Being able to turn his enemies into allies is the most dangerous power of all. Mihawk even said so himself about Luffy. Luffy has the most dangerous ability on the seas, which is turning anyone around him into allies, including former enemies. However, Imu will do this by force, while Luffy turns his enemies into allies by trusting them. Yep, that's pretty much it. And I do like the parallels here, right? Luffy is the liberation guy, Imu is the oppressor. I think it all just falls in line quite well. This one, oh, this is funny. Sai for months, when are we going to get a cover story? Sai, now after a year of Yamato's journey, when will it end? All right, hear me out. I don't want Yamato's journey to end. I just want it to be exciting. Like I said, I love Yamato. I'm excited that she finally got her cover page story. But man, delivering a blade around Wano? Dude. No, something's gotta happen. You know, we need Blackbeard here. We need Kaido, Big Mom. Give me Jack the Drought even. Cross Guild, Sword. I'll take anybody. Bring in Bellowy the Hyena, please. Arlong even. Just somebody please come to Wano. Somebody make Yamato's journey exciting, man. I don't know. I mean, like I said, Uzu, Page 1 ulti. Great. Love them. I'm glad that happened. But now that it's over, give me somebody else. Please. Please don't take us to Kawamatsu. Please don't take us back to Kinemon or Sukiyaki. It might be time for the final villain to score a major W against the Straw Hats. Given the overwhelming number of Luffy's allies, a shift in power is needed to raise the stakes. We can see Luffy and Loki abandoning Elbaph temporarily, with Imu seizing control of the giant's powers to reinforce the WG. Interestingly, Luffy's statement after Egghead that no one can stop him from chasing his dream, even if the giant stood against him, foreshadows what will happen next. Yep, that is a major point of foreshadowing, right? Luffy's saying, hey, even if you guys are my enemies, I'm still gonna be the Pirate King. Yeah, I love that Oda foreshadowed that. I like it when he does things like that too. I just love just looking back at moments like that, and it's like, oh, it all makes sense. Because I remember back when this happened, a lot of people thought that this was a really weird line. Like, yeah, it's obvious, but why would you say that, right? Like, what do you mean if Dory and Brogy, if you guys are my enemies? Like, dude, they're your best friends. So I'm glad that all got cleared up here. As far as the final villains getting that major W here in Elbaph, I'm all about that. I do think the villains need to win every now and then just to keep the stakes high, to keep the tensions high, to keep us on our toes even. Because if Luffy simply mops the floor with everybody, every single island, I think that gets a little bit redundant, and it's just like, oh, there's a bad guy here, throw Luffy over there, and they'll be solved in like 10 chapters. I don't think that gets exciting after a while, and that's why I loved Wano, right? The beginning of Wano, when Kaido showed up, and he one-shot Luffy, that was crazy. That was unprecedented. And then guess what? When we fought Kaido again later, it made that fight even more impactful. Rob Lucci whooped Luffy and Zoro back during Water 7. And then guess what? We came back and we whooped them, and it felt great. And that's because there was build up to those battles. So I do think that Luffy needs to lose here. Maybe he doesn't like get stomped, right? I'm not saying Luffy has to get bloodied up and, you know, everybody dies, but maybe Luffy just gets humbled here. Like maybe Imu is ducking and weaving Luffy's attacks, and then Luffy doesn't know how to counter him. Or maybe everything Imu does is something Luffy doesn't even know how to deal with, like Domi Reversi, or maybe other black magic, and Luffy's just super confused. And then we have to go through a mini training arc where we learn about these powers, or where we learn how to counter them even. Granted though, I always thought Elbaph would be that training arc island. So if it gets taken over, if the world government gets this W, then we can't really stay here, huh? So where would we go to train up and learn about history and learn how to hurt the Holy Knights? Like, I can't imagine any real islands that'd be great candidates for that. Like outside of Elbaph, it was really just Lodestar and Laughtail. And I don't think we're going to either of those places anytime soon. So I don't know. But either way though, I do want the villains to get that W. I do want that tension there. And I would love to know what you guys think about that as well. This comment says, made sense if this is how Joy Boy from the past was defeated. Turning his allies against him probably handicapped him much. Yeah, I mean, just imagine that, right? Like, put Luffy in that scenario. Luffy is there, he's that Joy Boy, and he's fighting Imu. And Imu turns the Straw Hats into demons, and now the Straw Hats are all trying to kill him. Could Luffy actually fight his friends? Could he actually fight his Nakama? I think so, but I don't know if he'd be able to go all out. Like, that's just tough, brother. And now imagine Joy Boy, right? Not just his allies, but imagine his hometown, the Ancient Kingdom. What if they got turned into demons? Even that would be insane. So yeah, I do think Imu's powers in this chapter recontextualizes how the Void Century could have gone down. Like maybe even the 20 kings and queens were good at one point, and then Imu simply corrupted them. So yeah, I wonder what Imu's list of corrupted people will look like by the end. What does that black box actually look like? I love how Killingham is just an overpowered mob spawner right now. I mean, you're not wrong, right? And the thing is that Killingham being a mob spawner, that's just one ability, right? I really want to see what Killingham can do outside of that, because he still has like a special weapon, right? He has his own trident spear thing. I bet he also still has other Kirin powers as well, because Kirins notoriously shoot lightning, shoot fire, they can fly and do everything else that's wacky and zany. So the sleep power is just one aspect. What else can you do, man? You know, what else can you do outside of spawning mobs? Also, look at this comment right here. I literally said this in the beginning of this video. While Gunko is basically the video game protagonist, with Imu being the gamer that controls the player. I love that. Look at that mind rope, brother. We're all on the same wavelength. This one says, bro, dropping this as I clock in my break is heavenly. I got you, brother. This one says, reversal is another name for the game Othello. a game where you turn white pieces into black pieces and the other way around too. I didn't know that. You see that, you guys? This right here is why I love reading comments. I learned something new. And yeah, I love this. Let me see. Is this actually true? I'm gonna just assume it is, but I guess I can also look up this too. All right, so I just fact checked it, and it is indeed true. Reversely is another name for the game Othello. And yeah, man, if Emu is the one turning white pieces black, then there's gotta be a way to turn black pieces white. So yeah, I am really banking on Luffy being able to distribute his Sun God Nika powers. I'm sure you guys have seen like fan arts before of like, oh, here's Zoro in Gear 5, here's Nami in Gear 5, Sanji in Gear 5, Usopp in Gear 5. You know, I do think that is going to be the case, and it would be reminiscent of what happened in the final war of Naruto, where Naruto had the Kurama cloak, and he gave his cloak to other people. I think Luffy's going to do the same thing. I think it will be a truly white versus black scenario, where you have the Sun Gods on one side, and then Emu's Devil Squadron on the other. And that'd be super freaking sick, man. So, this one says, oh, whoa, that was huge. You know, it said read more, and I wasn't expecting that. I have 2 huge theories based on parallels from previous arcs. In Little Garden, we see Mr. 3! Dude, my guy. Mr. 3 stabs Dory's hand with a wax trident. Emu parallel. Luffy was unavailable, and Mr. 3 ran through every... Dude, what a thing to say. Say, Mr. 3 ran through everyone. I mean, you're right. It's just funny thinking about that, right? Mr. 3 running through the entire island. Once Luffy comes in, he makes light work of Mr. 3. Now, Luffy is stuck in a different realm and is not there to assist him against Emu. I believe once he comes up, Emu will retreat after feeling Nika's haki and will wait for a different time to take over Elbaph. It's not bad. I mean, even Gunko, I think like, what, 4, 5, 6 chapters ago, Gunko said that they were afraid of Nika. The reason why I sigh is because I'd be so sad, man. I'd be so sad if the final villain flexes this hard in Elbaph and then sees Luffy and runs away. No. It can't be. I mean, it makes sense. Like I said, the parallel's there. I just don't want that to happen, bro. Like, that would be such negative PR for Emu. Like, anybody who's an Emu fan, they'd be fighting for their lives that week, brother. And here's the thing too, right? I do believe that Emu is afraid of Nika, afraid of Joy Boy, and same with Gunko. But we could draw the line and say that they're afraid of those people. They're not afraid of Luffy, because Luffy is still a greenhorn, right? Luffy hasn't fully learned what it means to be the Sun God, to be Nika. Luffy doesn't even know what Sun God Nika is yet. So maybe they won't be afraid of Luffy. And because they fought Joy Boy, right, the stronger version of Nika, you know, stronger than Luffy at least, maybe that's why they won't be afraid, because Luffy to them will just be like a little kid. But that's wishful thinking on my part, though. You know, I'm just an Emu defender right now. I'm fighting for that guy. The other theory goes back to Sugar in Dressrosa. The Devil's Contract is similar to the Hobby Hobby contract. 1. The user decides the terms, and 2, consent is not needed. 1 touch allows the user to force you into a contract. I believe this was done as a clear parallel to Emu. The only way to nullify the contract is to knock out the person. I believe right before Luffy gets there, Usopp will use a Sunstone to make a fake Nika that scares Emu and nullifies the contracts, and Usopp will earn the name God Usopp for real. Like I said, man, I'm running the Emu PR right now. So I do think these are good ideas, but as an Emu defender, I don't want it to happen. You know, I see where you're coming from. I see the parallels. I don't want it to happen though, man. I hope not. Emu points a shotgun to Brogy and says, "Parry this, you filthy giant." I like that. I think Usopp will finally get his big moment by standing up to the devil transformed Dory and Brogy. Yes. I like that. They're his personal heroes. What better opportunity could he have to finally realize his dream than to take on the monster versions of his own idols? Plus, it would be a great parallel to how he turned the tables back on Little Garden when they were first introduced. Yeah, I 1,000,000% agree with this. You know, I talked about Harden, Loki, Zoro and Sanji all going against Dory and Brogy, but honestly, Usopp is the sleeper pick because alongside the fact that they're his idols, These are the people that gave him his dream initially. Usopp didn't even want to become a brave warrior of the sea until he saw Dory and Brogy. So I do think this will be like a whole big full circle moment for Usopp. The problem is, how will Usopp actually do this, right? I mean, outside of this idea of like him knocking out Imu, how will Usopp actually combat Dory and Brogy? Because we're talking about Dory and Brogy on steroids, right? They're on that demon time right now. So Usopp taking them on seems absurd to think about right now, but maybe it's a combination. Maybe it's Hardin, Usopp, and Loki who takes on Dory and Brogy. Because thinking back to Eni's lobby, before Usopp arrived at the Tower of Justice, he was riding on Oimo and Kashi's shoulders. So maybe that's what Usopp's gonna do here. Like maybe he's riding on Loki or Hardin's shoulder and he's simply giving orders. Maybe he uses observation hockey and he predicts attacks and he's like, hey, Hardin, to your left, Loki over there. Like maybe that's what Usopp's going to do. And he's just gonna be so impactful with his observation hockey, with his small, you know, tidbits here and there, that he will turn the tides of battle. I don't know. But you're right though. I do think Usopp will be very significant on this island against Dory and Brogy. I just don't know how yet though. If Loki got turned into a demon giant, he might be big enough to carry the giant sword on the island. Oh, you're right. Yeah, wait. I mean, forget Loki. I mean, now that Imu is here, I wonder if Imu will do something with that. Like maybe Imu sees the sword and then they pick it up. Or maybe they get even bigger themselves and they pick it up after that. No, you're right. I do like this a lot. And yeah, if Loki gets turned into a demon, this could be the case. And this could be how Loki turns into a villain even, right? Because initially we were all like, oh, is Loki the big bad villain of Elbaph? And then it turns out he's a good guy, right? He's pretty nice. He's eating with Luffy. He's hanging out. He's telling us that there's a reason why he killed King Harold in the first place. So maybe he flips the script again on us, where Loki just turns evil. And that's because Imu transformed him. All of this is happening and Luffy and the others are just like, y'all hear something? Yeah, I hope Luffy knows what's happening. I hope they sensed Imu's hockey, but there's also a good chance that they're simply in flashback mode. Because it did seem like Loki was about to spill the beans, right? He looked at Hardin and he's like, oh, you don't think I really killed our dad like that, right? Like, it looked like that was the start of a flashback. So I wouldn't be shocked if they're all just learning what's happening. You know, they're all gathered around a campfire, hanging out, still eating their food. Yeah, I mean, they need it though, to be fair, right? Before every big battle, Luffy always needs to eat. He's simply getting that done with right here and right now. So maybe we should appreciate this. Maybe it's a good thing Luffy's eating right now, right? I wonder if Imu's powers is to pull out someone's inner demon, like Brogy had a very small selfish part that would want to be king, and Imu forced that version into a contract, almost liberating that version of Brogy. I like that. You know, liberating can mean a lot of different things, right? Generally in One Piece, liberating is simply freeing somebody from being a slave or freeing them from whatever vices they have. But like you said right here, it could also mean the opposite. You could be liberating those vices and letting them run wild. So yeah, maybe Imu simply lets out their deepest and darkest desires. Like Nami, for example, right? Nami's the cat burglar. She's all about money. But Nami's really good, right? Nami wouldn't jeopardize kids or family or friends for money. But if Imu steps into the play, if Imu brings out Nami's inner demon, what if she is just money hungry? What if she's over here killing people for money left and right? Oh, those kids? Pop, 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 pop. You know, she's collecting bounties on them. I don't know. And I do like this as well. But it does seem like in this chapter, though, that Imu is the one who dictates Brogy's personality. Because even before Imu does anything to Brogy, he simply says, hey, Brogy, you go kill Jarl and become king. And then Imu transforms him into a demon. So, I don't know. That would be tough because that would mean that Imu already knew Brogy's deepest, darkest desire before turning him. Or maybe it just so happened to line up, but I'm not too sure. But I do like the idea, though. Don't get me wrong. I like the idea. I'm gonna call it Luffy's heartbeat going to be the hard counter to the evil mind control thing. And that is also why Gunko has a fear of Nika coded into her. I like it. I don't think this is a bad idea. I guess my only qualm about this right now is that it's too easy, right? If it's simply just Luffy's heartbeat, then that would mean that him going Gear 5th and coming up to the Sun Realm would cure everything. I think that's too easy off rip. I feel like it has to be more intentional. Like maybe Luffy tears out a piece of his Sun Gun Nika hair or his white fire, and then he throws it at the giants. I think that's more in line. But the heartbeat though, I do like some aspects of it, because back during Egghead Island, when Luffy went Gear 5th, there were a couple of panels where the giants heard the heartbeat and they simply started dancing right away. Like, they couldn't control themselves, man. You know, they heard the rhythm, they just started going at it. So maybe this does happen. Or maybe it just stalls them. Like, maybe Luffy's Sun God Nika heartbeat stalls the giants for a brief moment because they start remembering where they were. Maybe like Gunko, right? Like how after Colin screamed, "Father, father," and then Gunko's memories came back. Maybe after hearing Luffy's heartbeat, that's what happens to Dory and Brogy. Or maybe that's what Usopp does. Yeah. What if Usopp comes up here and it says, "Hey, Dory, Brogy, you guys were awesome. You fought for 100 years on an island for your pride. Don't forget that." And then that's when Dory and Brogy slowly snap out of it. I think that could be it. You know, if Gunko was able to beat the mind control for a little bit and run after Brook, who's to say that memories and, you know, reminding them of who they were before isn't how you actually bring them back? I like that. And then, of course, the drum beats could be one part of it too, right? Maybe it's the drum beats, Usopp, and everything, and then all the memories just start flooding in. No, that's good. That's good. This one says, them sinking into the floor to reemerge as a demon sounds awfully similar to the Gorosei transformations. Yep. And then we see it in this chapter. They also fall into the Abyss Circle Pentagram Mark II. And it does make you wonder a little bit, but were the Gorosei good people before Imu entered the picture? This one says, Imu already has my favorite powers in One Piece. The shotgun part sounds so cool, and I can't wait to see what else happens with them. Yeah, like, that's so funny though, man. Like, the first weapon they whip out, minus the pitchfork, is a literal shotgun, like a double barrel shotgun. That's what they went for, huh? Not a sword. I mean, hell, Imu had the trident. They had the pitchfork in their hands, but they opted for a shotgun instead. I don't know why. Also, a dagger too, right? They had the pitchfork in the beginning, they summoned cannons, and then they summoned a dagger, and then they summoned a gun. When is Imu gonna use the pitchfork to attack somebody, man? It's almost like it's just for show, right? Imu used it to, like, draw a couple of pentagrams and that's it. I wonder if he can actually fight with that. Surely, right? Surely. I'd find it funny if Imu's fruit is the devil fruit. Or if you want to do some contrast with Luffy, the human fruit model devil. Luffy is human fruit model Sun God Nika. So Imu, I feel like if Imu was the devil and it was a human fruit, we gotta give the moon devil a name. And funny enough, I already made like a big old moon devil theory video already, but I don't have the name for this guy yet. So we just need to give this guy a sick ass name and then we're good to go, brother. And now for the last comment on today's video. This right here, and it is talking about a popular theory, but they say they saw a post on Twitter saying Harold was possessed by Imu, and that is why Loki took him down. And I agree. And after reading this chapter, I agree with this even more because of Yarl's reaction, right? When Imu released that Conqueror's Haki Blast coming out of Gunko's body, everybody kind of reacted to it, but Yarl seemed upset when he sensed Imu's presence. So I do think there is some history there. I think Yarl might have recognized it from that night in the throne room oh so long ago. All right, so I lied. This is the final comment, but they say, I expect Imu to turn half of the Marines into demons during the final war. Green Bull will take the power willingly, and Imu may force it on Akainu initially, and he'll overcome it before turning on Imu and dying when Imu takes the power back. Imu has become a serious absolute being after this. Yep. I am a major fan of Imu turning the Marines into demons because, brother, I love the Marines, but right now they kind of suck. You know, like, I mean, minus the admirals, the vice admirals on Egghead Island, they underperformed. You know, I wasn't expecting much and they went below the bar. I love their personalities, their designs, their powers, but they just were not heavy hitters. So Imu turning not just the admirals, but vice admirals and captains and just random Marines into demon soldiers would be amazing. And I think I would be excited to see the admirals too. I think the admirals are just an easy one, right? Like, dude, take Green Bull, times him by 5, take Akainu, times him by 5, Kizaru, times him by 5, Fujitora, times him by 5, and they'd be insane. I also wonder what demons they would turn into, because in this chapter, Imu turns all the giants into curls, right? Into these bat-winged, you know, pitchfork-wielding demons. But we do know that Imu has the power to give more unique demons to people, like the Gorosei, for example, like Shamrock's Sword. So maybe Emu will get more specific with the Admiral demons. Like, oh, you know, Green Bull, he loves women, he loves trees and drinking. I'm gonna give him this demon. Akainu, he's a hard ass. I'm gonna give him this demon. Right? I do think it'd be really sick if they were all unique like the Gorosei. And I'm gonna say right here, brother, but if the admirals get demon forms, one, that'd be kind of sad because, you know, they're not all bad people. So seeing them turn into that would be awful, right? They would truly abandon their sense of justice if that were to happen. But I do think it'd be sick to see them fight, brother. I don't know, man. Oh, but with that being said, though, that is it for today. Thank you guys so much for joining me in this video. I really freaking appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for commenting in the last video as well. You gave us a lot of ammo for this one. We will be back because guess what? There is no break for 11:51. So we're going to be back here before you know it. But until then, you guys stay safe, take care, and I'll catch you all later. Peace out, brother.